Hello, everyone. It's Frank McGuire.
And Kristina Dumas.
And Taco Brown.
And this is another episode of Meanwhile, back on the podcast. Coming up on today's show, it's our first episode back from our short hiatus. And Kristina, Taco, and I waste no time giving our spoiler hot review of The Suicide Squad. Not Suicide Squad, The Suicide Squad. James Gunn's big DC debut. Was this another smash hit for this beloved director? Did he do the source material justice? Was this the comic book movie with the highest body count? And who do we think really saved the world from Starro the Conqueror? We got our answers to these questions and so much more, so stay with us, or I'll set off that explosive we put at the base of your skull. Hit the music.
Meanwhile, back on the podcast, four colossal nerds named Saba, Chris, Kristina, and Frank have set out to take on a great darkness that has enveloped the world of fandom with their powers of common sense and the strength to take on even the most butthurt Twitter mobs and insufferable comment section trolls. They fight for truth, objectivity, and nuance in the conversation and debate over fictional made-up shit.
So like we said at the top of the show, we are sitting down for the spoiler hot review of The Suicide Squad, the newest film from Warner Brothers and DC, directed by the great James Gunn. And wow, this film had an incredibly large cast. Some obviously did not live throughout the entire movie, but I think that's exactly why they were cast in the movie, was to die within the first 5 minutes of the film. That's literally why these characters were included. James Gunn thought he was throwing us a little bit of a curveball there when he made the cast so big, but I'm pretty sure we predicted that there was going to be a lot of people killed off very quickly in this movie, and we were right. So joining me is Kristina and Taco. We're going to sit down. We're going to talk about the film. We're going to talk about the things that we liked, the things that we didn't like. And so let's get this started, guys. Kristina, Taco, how are you guys doing?
Pretty good.
You're great.
Yeah, things are good?
Yeah. I was been playing. My love for God of War reignited, and I'm hunting Valkyries, which are infamously difficult. And I spent probably at least 2 weeks. There's 9 of them. I'm stuck on the queen, and I'm slowly losing my sanity, but I'm hanging in there.
Okay, well, don't lose your sanity, bro. Don't don't do that. We don't want to have to come and find you in a rubber room, dressed like Harley Quinn or the Joker. That would be a problem. That would be a problem. Yeah. Kristina, how are you doing?
I'm pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What have you been up to lately?
I don't know, probably a lot of sports and just getting outside a lot.
Cool. Fresh air. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, well, let's talk about the Suicide Squad. So let's start with the creative team. The film was directed and written by James Gunn. I love James Gunn. I think a lot of us love James Gunn. I don't think there's a lot of people who can say too much negatively about James Gunn. I think he's one of those directors that consistently delivers. I think he's one of those directors and writers that consistently delivers. And he has such an invested interest in the source material that he takes on. He went all the way back to the John Ostrander original run on Suicide Squad for inspiration to make this film. And I think that you can certainly see that in the movie that we got. That's for sure. So, Kristina, you saw it in theaters. Taco, you saw it in theaters. How did it feel to get back into the theaters, guys? Kristina, start with you.
Yeah, obviously, it's really good to be back in the theaters. Definitely beats my small TV.
Well, how big's your TV?
Okay, I guess it's not that small. It's like a 40-something inch TV, but it's not huge. It's like a medium-sized TV, I guess.
Okay. Well, size doesn't matter, so there you go. But I couldn't do that. I couldn't have a 40-inch TV. Mine's 65, and I wouldn't go any smaller ever.
Yep.
I wouldn't go any smaller.
Yeah, but it depends on how far you can get away from your wall, too, right?
This is true.
In my condo, I can't get very far away from the wall. The couch is pretty close to the TV. There's no other place to put the couch, so I don't really have too many options in terms of size there.
Gotcha. So any bigger and your eyeballs may be burning out of your skull.
It'll be really awkward. Did you ever watch the IT Crowd?
Yep.
Oh, do you remember the episode where they have to sit in the sink to get a good view of the giant TV because the apartment was too small?
Don't remember that one.
Oh, that was funny. And then they meet this guy who is a cannibal, and they end up going to his house because he has a better TV and a better couch.
Isn't he a vampire, not a cannibal?
No, he's a cannibal, and they like knew that he
Oh.
was a cannibal, but they kept going there because they wanted to watch TV at his house.
Okay.
That sounds hilarious.
What the fuck? That's hilarious. Taco, how was your first experience back in the theater?
So ever since the theaters opened up in Toronto, I've been like every other weekend going there.
Nice.
So I watched Suicide Squad in IMAX,
Yeah.
and it was awesome. I miss the theaters. I've been dying to go back. Like lockdown really had me suffering
Yeah.
for quite a long time because I've been going to the movies theaters like almost every weekend since I was like young with my uncle. It's kind of like tradition. So when they take that away from me, I feel like I don't go out for anything, only for like the movie theaters. So you take that away from me, it's like, okay, now we gotta get this. We gotta go back soon.
Yeah, I'm a regular theater goer as well. That's one of my favorite things to do, really, on like a Saturday or Sunday. I'm one of those guys that goes by himself. And sometimes I choose to do that because I just like to be by myself. And, you know, when you go by yourself, you don't feel as awkward when you sneak in a fucking pizza or something to sit down in the theater. Like, you don't feel as awkward eating that whole pizza to yourself. So, yeah, no judgment. You know, I just get to sit there and watch my movie. Plus, I haven't met, like, I don't know. I always worry I'm going to discover a friend that feels like it's okay to talk during a movie in a theater. And I fucking hate that. I think that's the worst. I think that's one of the worst traits any human being can have is talking in a theater while a movie is going. I just feel like it's abundantly just rude and inconsiderate to the people watching and the people that have paid their hard-earned money to see the film. And, you know, I get that people have questions while they're watching, but wait until the fucking movie's over to ask your questions or to talk to your friends or whatever. I don't have a lot of patience for that particular behavior.
Oh, I don't want to go to a movie with you, Frank. That sounds like
Why?
so hard.
We went to a movie together and it was fine.
Sometimes it's fun to like laugh at something with your friend, like not the whole time, but here and there you want to react to something.
Yeah, reacting and laughing and high-fiving is different than like talking and asking questions like, oh shit, who is that? What happened to that guy? Why is that guy doing this?
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's annoying. When it's like something that requires whole sentences, I agree.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything other than that. I'm not saying that you can't like react and like look at each other and exchange a knowing glance. I think that that's always a fun thing to do. And that's definitely something I've always done with my friends where a moment happens on screen, you know, and I'll give you a great example. When Cap catches Mjolnir in Endgame, like I fucking lost my mind and I had to turn to my friend and lose my mind with my friend. My friend wasn't losing his mind as much as I was, but I needed that reinforcement for somebody to look me in the eye and tell me it was okay to fucking be this emotional about this singular moment of this fictional character's existence. So yeah.
And actually, our whole theater was a lot of fun. The whole theater was like reacting to everything together. But wait, did I also hear you say you eat a whole pizza at the theater?
I've done it. I've done it. Well,
Okay.
How big is this pizza?
shout out to Blaze Pizza. Shout out to Blaze Pizza. Blaze is really basically next door to both Cineplex Odeons that I've been going to in Toronto, being Yonge and Dundas and Scotiabank. So I'd always just go get a Blaze Pizza, put it in my backpack, and the box was small enough that I could get it flat in my backpack, so I didn't have to worry about the pizza sliding around.
All right.
Yeah. I've also had chicken strips from Burger Priest. Yeah, I go in there with a full meal, man. Like, to me, it's a ritual. It's literally a religious experience when I go to the theater. Like,
Yeah.
I really love going to the theater. I saw The Last Jedi 4 times. I saw The Last Jedi 4 times in theater because I just love the experience so much.
Yeah, I generally don't love the theater that much. This is like I like eating all these things in my house. That's why I like watching at home sometimes, just like the comfort of my home. But yeah, I agree. Some movies just have to be on the big screen. So
Yep, I totally agree with that too. So let's talk about this cast, guys. This incredible cast that they were able to put together for this film. There's people from comedy. There's people from drama. There's people from genre. There's people from The Walking Dead. There's people from, you know, the existing DC universe, obviously. But there's lots of recognizable faces and names that we know as genre fiction fans or fandom fans that are very recognizable to us. So let's go through this list. So as Harley Quinn, we got Margot Robbie. John Cena is playing Peacemaker. Pete Davidson is, oh, by the way, they gave this guy an actual name. Like, it wasn't just Blackguard. His name is Dick Hertz. Dick Hertz.
I did not catch that.
Pete Davidson, his name is Dick Hertz. Wow. So he's Dick Hertz / Blackguard. Daniela Melchior is Cleo Cazo / Ratcatcher 2. Sylvester Stallone is the voice of King Shark. Idris Elba is Bloodsport. Nathan Fillion is the Detachable Kid, TDK. Taika Waititi is Ratcatcher and also the father of Cleo Cazo. David Dastmalchian is Polka Dot Man. Joel Kinnaman is Rick Flag. Michael Rooker is Brian Derlin / Savant. Sean Gunn was Weasel. Jennifer Holland was Emily Harcourt, who was the blonde in the Task Force HQ, the one that was like taking bets. That was her. Alice Braga was Sol Soria. Flula Borg was Javelin. Peter Capaldi was Gaius Greaves, a.k.a. The Thinker. Storm Reed was Idris Elba's daughter, Bloodsport's daughter. Jai Courtney was Captain Boomerang. Steve Agee was the motion capture actor for King Shark. He was also the guy in the HQ too. He was in Suicide. He was in the Task Force at HQ. He was John. He was Big John. And apparently they list Karen Fukuhara as Katana, but I don't remember seeing Katana in this film. Does anybody see Katana? Like, was she in that jail scene with Calypso?
I don't recall seeing her.
I don't recall seeing Katana at all. So I think maybe somebody just put this in here for the sake of it. Juan Diego Bato was Harley's love interest, the Generalissimo.
I think he was like a president or something. Or
El Presidente? Yes, El Presidente, yeah. That's right. Mei Ling Ing was Mongal. Viola Davis is obviously Amanda Waller. Julia Cesar Ruiz was the Great Milton. Palm Clementif made a cameo. She was one of the lounge singers in the bar. And then Lynn Ash was Polka Dot Man's mom, who we saw replicated a number of times. Amazing cast, like huge cast. But all these folks would not survive the first 7 minutes of this film. A lot of them were fucking DOA and died in some of the most hilarious ways I've possibly ever seen in a comic book film. Pretty entertaining, to be honest. So let's talk about general impressions, general thoughts on the movie. Kristina, you know what, Taco, I'm going to start with you. What'd you think, man?
Man, I gotta say I really enjoyed this film. Going into it, I wanted to watch James Gunn commit bloody murder, and that's what I got. He just like killed off all these people in the most creative way, and of course, James Gunn's writing is just like his sense of humor. It was my kind of sense of humor.
Okay.
And like before this, like my favorite Suicide Squad like adaptation was the animated one, where I think it's Assault on Arkham. I think is a really good like animated like adaptation.
Are you talking about Assault on Arkham, or are you talking about Something Pay? I can't remember, but the animated one, yeah. No, there's 2 Suicide Squad animated films, and I like both of them for sure. I think that both of the Suicide Squad animated films are far above and beyond what we've gotten in live action so far. That's for sure. Hell to Pay. That's it. Suicide Squad, Hell to Pay. Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead, Taco. Yep.
So Assault on Arkham, like I really enjoyed that one. I think like this one did justice. It wasn't overcrowded with characters. Every character felt like where they needed to be and then like who they had to be with and stuff like that, right? And I gotta say, he like Bloodsport. I didn't know Bloodsport was a character until I heard the casting for Idris Elba, and I gotta say he made Bloodsport really cool for me as someone that doesn't know his character. Like I do like a little like his bodysuit's like a Build-A-Gun basically. It was really cool to see that, and overall I gotta say it was pretty much what I got, what I paid for.
Okay, so I want to talk about what we said about Bloodsport. Do you feel like he was almost an interchangeable character with Deadshot, just a little bit though?
Oh, for sure, yeah. Like they needed someone to fill that Deadshot role, because Deadshot and like Harley Quinn and like Captain Boomerang, these are all like iconic Suicide Squad members, right? So
yeah, but they could have done so much to change the Bloodsport character so he wasn't so much like Deadshot. Just like in Deadshot and Suicide Squad, the daughter's involved. He's an expert marksman. He's an expert with weapons. He's very resourceful and formidable. There's a lot of things they could have done to make the character Bloodsport a little bit more unique and kind of create some separation between Bloodsport and Deadshot, don't you think?
Yeah, no, for sure. Like even as opposed to like you could have done something different with the daughter. You didn't have to go basically the same route that you did with Will Smith's character, right? Like I agree with that. But if you were to ask me if I'd rather have Idris Elba, the Bloodsport, or Will Smith's Deadshot, not saying Will Smith's Deadshot's like bad, but I think I enjoyed Idris Elba Bloodsport on screen more. Not that it has anything to do with Will Smith too much, because it's not really his like. I think he did a good job as Deadshot, but I just felt with what he had to work with, I think James Gunn did a good job with Bloodsport.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Bloodsport was a more interesting character for sure. And I think Idris Elba was a better performer if you match up their performances in these contrasting films. As far as David Ayer's Suicide Squad and James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, I think that Idris Elba, is it Idris or Idris?
I think it's Idris.
I think it's Idris. Yeah.
Idris, yeah.
I think that he delivers a performance that, will really stand the test of time as far as comic book adaptations go. I think he's really stands out and he's done an incredible job. Yeah, no, I thought it was pretty good. What about things that you didn't like, Taco?
Honestly, they were probably so small that I don't even think it counts. One thing I'm getting kind of bored of is this whole like everyone's under a rain of fire, but like everyone could like run across back and forth and be bulletproof in that kind of sense. I feel like that's like a reaction movie though. But like, to be honest, like nothing really too like it would only be like nitpicks at that point, right? Like I really enjoyed the film to the point where I didn't capture any like plot holes or anything that would have otherwise bothered me, like as far as most DC films would go.
Okay. I've got a few gripes. I gotta be honest with you. There's some certain things in the film that really kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and there was too many hard pills to swallow as far as some of the choices that were made. And if a little bit more extra thought had been put into it, like there could have been some better execution for sure. And we'll definitely get into that. Kristina, what were your thoughts on the film?
Okay, so for me, yeah, same with Taco. I really enjoyed the comedy in this film. And I think I really just enjoy James Gunn as a director. I like the tone and the vibe that he set for the film. I thought the pacing was good for the most part. Maybe there were a few things that went on a little bit too long that didn't have to, but in general, I think it was good.
And challenging too, because he was constantly doing time jumps. As it got further into the end of the film, there was a lot of time jumps.
That kind of bothered me. That kind of bothered me a little bit.
Yeah? How come?
Well, it was just more like, I think it was the tower one. I think that one bugged me because I just wanted to like see what happened next. And then we come back to what happens 8 minutes earlier to see like Idris Elba like fall down a bunch of floors. And it's like, okay.
Into the perfect position to deliver a kill shot to save Ratcatcher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I've got some issues with that too. Kristina, sorry, you were saying?
Yeah, I also enjoyed like all the performances. I thought all the actors did a really good job. But in particular, my favorite characters were Harley Quinn, Bloodsport, and Peacemaker.
Okay. And Peacemaker more or less because of the comedy or because of...
I actually just liked how crazy he was. I thought he did a good job. I thought he did a really good job of playing the character. And obviously, like, he was hilarious at certain moments. But I also just like that he's this crazy person who turns his back on his own team later on, kind of thing. Like, I kind of wasn't expecting that. I didn't expect him to start killing people. And he was just really intense the way that he did it. And his performance actually just made me excited for the Peacemaker show. It reminded me of something like The Boys or something like that. It made me want to kind of watch that. Okay,
so you're excited to see the Peacemaker story continue in his series?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, that's cool.
I can agree with that. I'm excited. John Cena for me like was one of the breakout characters. And breakout performances. Like the moment he said he was gonna suck a beach full of dicks to protect his country, like I was sold. Like on him, like this is my dude right here. That's hilarious.
I love that whole argument.
Yeah.
Which one? What, the bag full of dicks one?
Yeah. Because Idris Elba's like, I wouldn't do that. Why would you do that? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, he, obviously he was a character that was there to be the foil to Bloodsport and all the other characters, but at the same time to offer comic relief, but also deliver a pretty impressive action performance as well. He ends up obviously murdering Rick Flag. Yeah. He ends up murdering a lot of other people in the process. And he does it in ways that are quite physically impressive as far as showcasing his talent and his skills. He's definitely a formidable assassin. And the funny thing is that his outfit, his costume undercuts all of that. It almost nullifies, like he would be more badass if his costume didn't look so fucking ridiculous. Like if they gave him something closer to what Bloodsport wears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't even give him a reason for why he has this big metal bow on his head, right? At least Bloodsport, you see that his outfit and like it's like a tactical mask and like his outfit's like a Build-A-Gun. But John Cena does not even have armor. It's like a t-shirt and like boy shorts and a silver bow in the head. Like no explanation given.
Well, that's what the character looks like in the comics, though. The actual Peacemaker character looks like that in the comics. And you want to hear something funny? John Cena refused to give back his costume. He took it home with him. He refused to give it back.
I also really loved the violence. I didn't think it was going to be that violent, and I kind of thought it was done in such a fun way. It was like Mortal Kombat fatalities and stuff.
Yes.
So yeah, I love that too.
The body count was incredibly high on this film, and honestly, I think that James Gunn now has the record for probably the most bodies in a comic book adaptation, for sure. Like actual getting to see the killing be done. I'm sure you can't really count Thanos' snap. He made people disappear, didn't necessarily kill them. But I think that the Suicide Squad definitely has the record for the highest body count in a comic book adaptation. That's for sure. It's definitely the most graphic. It's definitely the most gratuitous as far as violence goes. It's definitely the most explicit. The language was explicit. We saw a dick. We saw a dick in a comic book adaptation movie. There was you guys caught that, right? The Spanish guy that was in his fucking hut. Well, sorry, Corto Maltesian. The Corto Maltesian with his dick hanging out while he was having his morning coffee. He gets fucking shot in the face as he's fucking having his coffee. Why did they put a dick in a comic book movie?
It's not the first time they've done that.
Well, I don't count Watchmen.
Okay.
I don't really count Watchmen on this because Watchmen was a TV series on HBO. Like, you can't have a show on HBO without showing your dick or somebody else's dick, right?
Also, you wouldn't be offended if it was a vagina or breast. So who
I'm
cares?
not offended. See, I'm not offended at all. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I'm saying that it's almost set a new bar for comic book adaptations. I think the most graphic sexual scene in comic book adaptations to date is the sex scene in Watchmen between Malin Ackerman and Patrick Wilson. That's probably the most graphic sex scene out of all the comic book adaptations. Yeah. You saw Watchmen, right?
Yeah.
Malin Ackerman is fucking glorious in that movie. She looks so good. So good. I remember the first time I saw her in Harold and Kumar and Go to White Castle, I was like, who the fuck is this woman? She just blew my fucking mind. She's so gorgeous. I love her. She's great. But yeah, this is the first time that we've actually got to see full frontal male nudity in a comic book adaptation as far as films go. Like, granted, Watchmen did it in HBO. The one in HBO was a lot more shock and awe than this particular one. That's for sure. That Spanish guy has nothing on Yahya Abdul-Mateen. So, yeah.
I think it was just to show, like, these guys are totally not expecting a raid.
Yeah.
At all. Like, they were just like, dude's like, I feel so bad for that dude. Like, just imagine waking up, you're just like Free Willy, and having a cup of coffee, and then bam, your brains just get blown out.
Yeah.
Isn't there an expression, they got caught with their pants down? So I think that's what they were trying to show there.
Maybe, yeah. You got caught with his literal pants down.
Nice. So, Kristina, what didn't you like about the film?
Honestly, I liked most things. I think the one time that I was like, oh, this is getting annoying was just when Harley Quinn was arguing with Polka Dot Man about the guy who had been hanging out with them in
Milton?
the office. Yeah, that went on for a bit too long for me. But
when Milton
I
died.
think that was the only part that I was like, oh, this is kind of annoying.
I thought that was hilarious.
I get that. And, after a couple more watches, I kind of get why it's there too. It was the characterization of Polka Dot Man was as like, yeah, he's kind of crazy and he's obviously a criminal, but he's also very empathetic and introspective and emotional. Like, he's definitely got an emotional center to him. And I think what was happening in that scene was he was expressing the loss of this almost non-player character, the guy that drove the bus to get them there. The connection between Solsoria, or the contact that Solsoria used to help them get into Jotunheim, right? I think that's what that was all about.
Oh, 100%. I just feel like it went on for a bit too long.
Yeah, I think it went on for a little too long too, for sure.
I disagree.
You don't think it went on for too long?
I don't know. To me, it was one of the funnier jokes in the film, especially at the, I don't know, for that scene too. Like, it caught me off guard. It was like, who's Milton? And I was like, oh, dude. I just started dying right away. Like, hardly made me laugh so much.
You thought that was one of the funnier jokes?
Yeah. Like, okay. It caught me off guard. Like, even in the scene where they do like the whole superhero shot, where all of them are lined up, and then even you see Milton like on the far right. I was even laughing at them. Like, why is he even there?
I
And
like
then it was just
that.
like, who's Milton? That's what made me, I think, made me even laugh harder. It was just like, yeah, this guy was so like significant. Why is he, why did he even put him there? I guess.
But he's not insignificant. That's the thing. They wouldn't have even gotten to where they were if it wasn't for that guy.
He was he was the plug. He was the plug on the ground to get them to the bar and to get them in the Jotunheim and to drive the bus and shit. But
Yeah,
there's you could make an argument that he could you could have removed Milton out of that movie and nothing would have changed. You could make that argument, right?
Or they could have made Milton more of a character, and it could have been interesting that way too. So everybody's not like American.
Well, it definitely felt like Milton was literally there just for that joke, like just to be killed and just for that joke. That's kind of how it felt to me, but I don't know if I'm completely sold on that notion totally. But yeah, what else, Kristina? Anything else you didn't like?
No, I really liked like most of the movie. Same thing with Taco. I enjoyed it. I was laughing the whole time. I loved the action. I thought it was great.
Okay. So overall, I think it was a pretty good movie. I think it was a pretty good film. I did enjoy it. I thought it was fun. I thought that it was very adventurous, and I could see where James Gunn was drawing his inspiration from like old war films and The Dirty Dozen and movies like that. So I was all about that. And I really liked a lot of the dynamics between the characters. I did feel like some of the character development was a little shallow, but not entirely shallow. I feel like a lot of characters had opportunities to shine where some didn't. But then again, you only have a little fixed amount of time to kind of tell these stories and to examine these characters. So you can't really do everything. I definitely found a lot of things that I could kind of poke fun at, and we'll get into that because I want to go through some of the scenes and discuss those. So we will talk about that. I thought the performances were fantastic. Even the guys that were dead within the first 7 minutes, they were pretty awesome. Like seeing Nathan Fillion on the beach with his arms flying around and just the way that he was expressing himself and the way that he was so into like performing that scene. It was awesome. I really, really loved it. I thought that was great. Yeah, I love most of the characters that got killed pretty quickly, but I was a big fan of Polka Dot Man. I thought Polka Dot Man was amazing. I really enjoyed Ratcatcher 2. I loved Bloodsport. I would love Bloodsport more if it wasn't just a placeholder for the Deadshot character, though. There wasn't enough contrast between these two characters. You got an African-American sharpshooter who's an expert with weapons. He's an assassin. He's also got a daughter, and the daughter is playing a role into the story and impacting why he's doing what he's doing. It's just, that's too close to the Deadshot story for me in the original Suicide Squad by David Ayer. So I would have liked Bloodsport a little bit more if they were a little bit more creative about his backstory and some of the other things surrounding that character. I thought that it could have been done a little bit differently. I thought Peacemaker was definitely a lot of fun. I had a problem with Rick Flag, though. This version of Rick Flag with the Rick Flag of David Ayer Suicide Squad is polarizing. The experience with those two characters, extremely polarizing. Rick Flag in this one had a sense of humor, and he was laughing and he was making jokes. And I just kind of felt like they should have kept him as the straight man and kept him as the hardline military officer type dude and not necessarily getting in on the jokes with everybody else. I think that would have added a lot more texture to the story and a little bit more of the exchanges between the characters. I thought that could have been really fun. I enjoyed King Shark. I thought that was fun for sure. I love the Starro story, but the thing I liked most about it was that it turned out that the American government, it was a whole cover-up thing. That's why Task Force X had to go in a court of Maltese, was to cover up the U.S. government's involvement in developing this, I guess what you could call a super weapon or this alien life form. I thought that was kind of cool. The American government was condoning and possibly financing and propping up all these experiments that were being done on human beings and children. That was kind of cool to kind of see. But again, that's something that has been in almost every movie and TV show. Like whenever the American government's involved, they're kind of the go-to bad guy now. So I kind of felt that was maybe a little bit lazy. I enjoyed the soundtrack. The action sequences were great. The performances were great. The stunt sequences were great. I love the Harley Quinn stunt sequence when she escapes from the palace, when she's fighting off all those guys with basically looks like an acid trip with all the flowers and all the colors and the birds and shit. I thought that was awesome. The problems I had with it, some of the scenes were just a little bit kind of too over the top ridiculous. Like the one where Bloodsport and Peacemaker are going through that camp and they kill everybody in the camp, like all the freedom fighters. But it gets to the end and Rick Flag is in a tent and is unaware of what took place outside, and he was in a tent. We're supposed to believe that like a tent was able to muffle the sound of that fucking watchtower coming down. That really didn't make a lot of sense to me. And also, you know, these people were screaming. There was a lot of like sounds. And as they were going through this camp too, it wasn't a giant camp. Like they were able to sneak up on people, even though that they were wiping out people as they were going along. And it wasn't like stealth kills all the time. Bloodsport was pulling out his fucking flamethrower and torching people and then still being able to sneak up on other people. Like that scene where Peacemaker is up on top of the hut and he's using his blowgun to take those people down. Those people were way too close to the guys that got fucking barbecued to not be aware of somebody attacking that camp. It didn't really make a lot of sense for me. So that was kind of tough to kind of swallow. I also thought if Waller, and I've started to think this way about all the Suicide Squad movies, if Waller is willing to threaten children, like daughters, people's family members, whatever, why not just force Bloodsport or anybody else to join the Suicide Squad? Why not like just grab a gun, have a couple of guys, armed guys, go up to him and be like, you're joining Task Force X and we're going to take you, we're going to put this fucking bomb in your neck. And if you don't complete the mission, we're going to fucking blow you up. So I'm starting to see these kids and these family member things being used as like a real kind of crutch to propel the story, to give the story more texture. When if she's willing to take people's lives, especially children or somebody's family member, if she's willing to threaten those people's lives to kind of coerce these potential Suicide Squad members from joining the Suicide Squad, why not just force them to join the Suicide Squad with pure force?
I have a comment to that. So maybe it's because she doesn't want them to just like kill themselves or something when they're out there. She wants them to like actually have a motive to complete the mission kind of thing.
I don't know about
That's
that.
true.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I buy that.
Because what if they actually just like commit suicide then instead of like trying to do what they're supposed to do? Like she has to kind of do something to make it like bigger stakes, right?
I guess, but I don't really buy that though. And it always happens to one of the characters, and it's always something where it's only one of the characters is being threatened, you know, their family members being threatened and they need to capitulate and go along with the program, or this family member is going to die. I just don't buy it. I'd rather just see Amanda Waller go around a prison with a bunch of armed guards and be like, yo, come with us or you're dead. And then that just suits. Like, that just makes more sense to me than trying to use or leverage somebody's love for one of their family members against them to try and get them to do what they want.
Yeah, I agree with Kristina because, like, if they go there with guns and like, hey, we'll just shoot you now if you don't come with us, they'd be like, hey, just shoot me now then. And then they both lose because Waller doesn't get anyone for the recruit.
Yeah, but not everybody's going to say, kill me now then.
Well, usually I think the go-to is they reduce time off their sentence. Right?
That's what I'm saying too. Like, that's an incentive.
But I guess for Bloodsport, like, it wasn't an incentive for him. Like, it was for Will Smith's character, I think it was. Like, that was the whole reason why he did it, to get time off his sentence. But I guess maybe this time it was just like...
I think it's an incentive for every character, though, Taco. I think if you zoom out a little bit, I don't think you can make the argument that it wouldn't be incentive for everybody. Now, it may not be an incentive that everybody gets excited about, but it's still an incentive. So it would just make more sense to me. Like, I just see it as something that's being rehashed every time when these stories come up. I think if you do it the way that I'm saying it, it really doesn't change anything. And if you think about it, the daughter really didn't affect the story at all. The daughter was just like a motivator, really didn't affect the story at all. Like, there was nothing that the daughter brought into this story that would change the outcome of it. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, I think they need to consider that moving forward. I think they just need to get more creative instead of just pulling people's kids into the mix to try and create motivation for these characters. I think there's a better way to do it, especially because they're fucking criminals. Like, it's almost too easy to do it. Maybe that's why they do it, because it's more complex and it creates more emotional layering. I don't know.
It also portrays Amanda Waller as a more evil character.
Yeah, but she's still kind of fucking evil if she's gonna, walk in with a number of armed guards and be like, yo, we're taking you to get this bomb implanted in your neck so you can go on a mission for Task Force X. And if you don't do as I say, I'm going to fucking blow your head off, just like I've done a bunch of times to a bunch of other people. So I don't think that we need any more convincing than Amanda Waller is evil. I think we all know that Amanda Waller is evil for sure. So yeah. And then the other thing was King Shark, when he fell out of the tower and he was getting shot by those guards, he was bulletproof. How did they get the bomb injected into him if his skin's impenetrable?
Vibranium. I don't know, dude. That's a good one.
And this is another penetration thing. It's so weird. The kaiju, Starro the Conqueror, like, do you expect me to believe that a javelin can pierce the eye of Starro and kill it, but bullets can't? Like, you don't think that those soldiers shot Starro in the eye at least a couple times? You don't think that Bloodsport didn't shoot in the eye a couple times? I don't know, man. Those were holes that kind of like just reared their ugly head at me a little bit.
It was a magical javelin, Frank.
Yeah, that's another thing. I don't think it's a magical javelin. I think it's a javelin. I think Harley it has mental health issues and she was hallucinating, which I think is
I know, I got it.
Okay. All right. I'm just
I was joking.
Gotcha. Other than these nitpicky things that I'm kind of nitpicking, but they are kind of annoying that somebody didn't see this and say, okay, well, let's do this a little differently so people don't raise these questions, because it's never good when people raise these questions, because it takes away from the immersiveness of the film. Once you're in the theater and you see something like this and you start to question it, it takes you out of it a little bit. So I'd really wish that somebody would go back and look at things like this and be like, okay, how can we fix this? Or, you know, they notice it and they're like, well, what can we do differently to kind of smooth that over a little bit to make it a little bit more believable? So the other thing for me was I felt like some of the humor was definitely forced. You know, James Gunn is very much a guy that loves to include humor in his films, and he does a great job of it. But in some of these instances, I felt like some of the humor was definitely forced. I didn't really feel like a lot of the jokes were very organic or just came as the story progressed. I felt like a lot of them were just kind of pushed into the story. Not a lot of them. I'd say like maybe like 2 or 3 of them were a little kind of awkward and just kind of felt like they'd been thrown in from left field and didn't really have a place in that puzzle at all. But other than that, I liked a lot of the humor. I thought some of the moments that they picked were perfect for a lot of the humor. I thought some of the more standout performances were actually by some of the more side characters, to be honest with you. I thought that Peter Capaldi's performance as the Thinker was amazing. It was incredibly well done. And it was awesome. I was really impressed with that performance. So one of the things I really liked about this film, and this is a very kind of side element of this movie, but I thought that it was interesting and really fun, was that scene with the analysts or the, you know, intelligence officers or whatever you want to call them, people that work for Amanda Waller. I love that they were betting. They were betting money on who was going to die first. It almost set the tone right away for how the audience is supposed to feel about these characters in this movie. It was almost like an indication. It was almost like, listen, don't get too attached. Like Gunn said this a million times during his interviews and stuff. He's like, don't get too attached to these characters. But I felt like this scene was like the ultimate setup to tell the audience, like, don't get too attached to these characters. Like, you're supposed to feel the exact same way that these people do. This is basically going to be a fun, just murder spree. Like, we just want you to be witness to this very fun murder spree.
Yeah, I absolutely love that scene. I thought that was so great. And I feel like everybody was doing that on the internet anyway. Like everything you read leading up to it, it was like people just guessing and betting on who's going to die and who's going to live. And like, So I even did it on our Instagram before I went to go see the movie. But yeah.
Yeah, it was almost an extension of what was happening online, for sure. It was definitely that. I would have liked to see like a more detailed like whiteboard or something. Yeah. Where you had people's names with how much they bet and all that. That would have been really cool. I thought that could have been a little bit more interesting. You know, we got to see a lot of cash changing hands and people kind of trash talking and kind of being boastful and whatever when they won their bets and stuff. But I think it would have been really fun to kind of see a whiteboard. And maybe you see Amanda Waller get in on it too. Like see her throw some money down into the pool. I thought that could have been fun. I thought that could have been fun.
I think it's a little bit true too. People who work in these kind of security intelligence jobs, they have a dark sense of humor.
They have a detachment.
I have worked in a department where we started betting on things like, you know, which country goes to war, like, you know, when certain things start to happen. So like, yeah, it was, it's dark. People get intense.
What was the precursor to you and your colleagues betting on war? Like what happened?
So I actually, it was very intense at the moment and I chose not to participate. I actually felt a lot of empathy for the country and the situation, but it was when Syria was going to get bombed and I worked on a team where everybody thought it was appropriate to bet on when Syria would get bombed. And I actually refused to bet. And, I'm like, it's cool. Like, you guys do that. I get it. We all have a dark sense of humor. Haha. But, like for this one, I'm just not feeling it. I don't want to participate. And the boss at the time, like, really got in my face. And he was like, oh, what do you mean you're not going to bet? Are you going to make us look like a bunch of assholes? Are you going to, like, tell HR on us? And he was, like, standing above my desk, like, trying to force me to bet just so that they wouldn't feel like a bunch of assholes or something. I'm like, okay, well, like, also, our intelligence team is not like totally separate from all the rest of the office too. We're like in the middle of an office with like regular people sitting beside us, like people who aren't doing this kind of job, and like they must have thought we were insane. So yeah, I don't know.
That's funny.
That was like a little too dark for me. So I was okay with like dark jokes and stuff, but like when it came down to like betting on, we had to pick a time. It was like, pick the time you think it's going to happen, because we knew it was going to happen, but it was just sad. I didn't want to do it.
I had a history teacher who made this during the Arab Spring. I don't know if you guys remember that, when like all these like Arab countries started revolting, and he was making bets on which next country was going to revolt. And I think he lost because he picked I forgot which one he picked, but it ended up being Libya that ended up revolting. So he ended up owing like another history teacher money.
See, I kind of like that. That's more fun. It's not like who's gonna die, like which country.
Well, people still died during those revolutions.
Oh, I know, but it was like for purpose, like sure, yeah, but yeah, I felt like I feel like I like that better. I feel like I would bet on that.
Yeah, which country is gonna probably collapse in the next couple of years?
No, which country is gonna have protests or revolts or something?
Yeah.
So, without cheating, can you guys recall who you thought was gonna die right away?
I wanted to say Weasel because he just looked so stupid, and the fact that it was his brother kind of made it obvious. Like if I was making a movie, my brother was in it, and he was looking that ridiculous, like you bet your ass I'm killing him off right away, right?
Okay.
But yeah, no. And then I also was kind of thinking Pete Davidson too, because again, as soon as I heard Pete Davidson in the movie, I knew he was there just to get killed off. He wasn't going to be anything significant.
Yeah, and the Blackguard character in this movie was nothing like the comic book one. The comic book one has like superpowers, super strength, and like super agility. And like Pete Davidson was a guy with guns. He was literally just, an assassin. He was more in kin with like somebody like Vigilante than say Blackguard, but kind of, yeah. Yeah, the characterization of that character was really, really weird, especially because Gunn was so loyal to the comic book IP. I really didn't expect that he would kind of wuss out like that. If he's going to give us Blackguard, give us Blackguard, or pick a different member, or give Pete Davidson a different role or whatever. But yeah. I
got to ask, which death surprised you the most?
What death surprised me the most? Captain Boomer. Oh, sorry, no. Rick Flag.
Rick Flag?
Rick Flag and then Captain Boomerang. I really thought Captain Boomerang was going to last, but Rick Flag was definitely the most surprising. I didn't think that they were going to kill off that character. I thought that he was going to be the cornerstone with like Harley Quinn for like a long time. But yeah, I guess that's not the case.
Kristina?
Yeah, I think I thought Ratcatcher 2 was going to die.
Like right away?
I didn't think so many characters would die right away, to be honest. I thought the deaths were going to be spread out throughout the movie, more like a horror movie or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought Ratcatcher 2 was going to die. I thought Polka Dot Man was going to die sooner. Mm-hmm. And I did not expect TDK to die so soon. I thought TDK was going to live a little longer just because it was Nathan Fillion. Like, he's a good actor. Mm-hmm. I thought they would use him more.
I think that was the curveball for James Gunn. It's like, you don't think I'll kill Nathan Fillion? It's like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he's like buddies with Nathan Fillion too. Yeah. So I definitely thought he was going to live longer.
The death that surprised me was Captain Boomerang for sure. I thought he was so entertaining in the first movie. And I would say second was Polka Dot Man. I really by halfway through the movie, I was like, "There's no way they're gonna kill Polka Dot Man. This guy is too valuable. Like, he's funny as fuck. You know what I mean?" And just the whole mom scene. But then they killed him off in the end. He got squished, and I kind of felt bad for him.
Yeah, he was definitely the most unique character. For sure.
Yeah, I think that was the best storyline. I liked his character growth and storyline the most.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah, we talked about the Task Force X HQ scene and how that kind of set up the tone for the entire film. But also the other thing that set up the tone for the entire film too was, and it was a different tone being set. It was almost like these two tones kind of being married together. When they first start to jump off the ship, you see like this very stoic, very serious, very almost like military-like precision with these guys jumping out of the airplane into the water. And then you hear this silence be cut by this screaming weasel as he's plummeting into the ocean. And he dies. He drowns. And Rick Flag is like, did anybody ever check if the weasel can fucking swim or whatever he said? You knew at that moment that this was going to be like, you thought that original tone where it's going to be a murder fest. Well, it's also going to be like super funny. And we're also going to try and make you laugh. Like it's almost those two scenes were there to kind of set the tone for like the entire film moving forward. Cause like you literally just hear the weasel screaming as he's plummeting into the water. You don't see him jump from the plane. You see everybody land and come up to the surface. And then you hear the weasel just screaming as he's plummeting into the water. And he just drowns. He just fucking literally drowns.
And they even said that they weren't even sure if he even agreed to come, right? Like they just offered him the deal and he just, okay.
Yeah.
I think that was one of my favorite deaths. It was pretty funny. And then it also showed like the analysts weren't that thorough. They didn't like care to check out like,
nope.
You know, what the people were scared of or what they were allergic to or how they might die.
Yep.
Yeah, because they did the same thing with Bloodsport, right? He's afraid of rats and they put him with the queen of rats.
Yep.
So like to me that even says like a lot. They even thought all these people were expendable and like, oh, it's okay. We have so many. We made 2 teams just in case. Like,
yeah. So if I was going to give my best example of a forced joke in this movie, that overhead projector joke was so fucking stupid.
Which
yeah.
one?
When Ratcatcher 2 points out, what's that? Oh, it's an overhead projector. Well,
yeah. Now I remember. Yeah, that was kind of like out there, like, oh, what? Like, is she too young to know what a projector is, kind of thing.
I also didn't buy that she was that young. She didn't seem like that young to me.
Like she didn't seem like a millennial. Like she was born in like 2006.
You'd have to be like
that.
Gen Z to not know what a projector is.
Yeah. No, I felt that was like just really, really forced joke. And honestly, when I heard that one, I was like, oh God, I kind of like cringed a little bit. I was like, what the fuck is coming next? I'm like, please, let's do it with some grace and humility, folks. Let's try and not kill the art of comedy by forcing Marvel-like jokes into a DC movie. And that's the other thing too, is I felt like this movie felt way more Marvel than any other DC film out of all of them, for sure. Did you guys get that feeling as well?
I did, but I'm okay with that because it felt kind of like a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and those are my favorite Marvel films anyway. So yeah,
it definitely felt a little bit like Guardians of the Galaxy. I would say the same thing.
I kind of don't like Zack Snyder's movies, so for me, this was a move in the right direction. But yeah.
Right. Taco, what'd you think, man? Did it feel like a little bit more Marvel formulaic than some of the other DC films?
I mean, I think it was more Guardians of the Galaxy kind of humor, like as opposed to like all the other. Like I feel like Guardians of the Galaxy humor is different than the other humor. The other or even Thor Ragnarok, right? Like Thor Ragnarok and Guardians of the Galaxy are probably the funniest Marvel movies they have, and all the other ones are just kind of like now I'm getting kind of. I'll be honest, I'm getting really bored of the comedy in Marvel movies now.
Yeah, me too, dude.
Right? I miss like. Do you remember Blade 2? Do you remember any jokes in Blade 2?
No, I do. I remember a couple,
but there wasn't as heavy on the comedy. Like, it didn't need the comedy to survive as a movie, right? And I'm also hoping, like, if the next Blade is going to be, like, sold as for lads, like a comedy, or, like, I don't want it to. Like, even The Winter Soldier, yes, it had some cheap laughs in it, but it was more of a spy thriller. There wasn't really as much humor in it. And I feel like DC kind of needed the humor, and James Gunn, I like his comedy. His humor is different, more raunchy. It's more kind of real. The conversations that get brought up are more generic. Not generic, they just come off easier. It feels like regular conversations that you probably would have with a buddy in that situation. It feels more real.
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense. What did you guys think of this little kind of Harley mini movie in the middle of the Suicide Squad? What did you guys think of that? The whole love story and the first official sex scene for Harley Quinn in a DC film. What did you guys think? I loved it because in the end, it was like somewhat healthy. Like, it's probably like the healthiest thing she could have done. Yep. Was just shot the guy. Healthiest thing she's ever done.
I thought that was that was so funny.
I think more girls should probably do that. Not literally, but like if you see a red flag, you gotta rip the bandage off right then and there. You don't have to shoot him in the chest. Yeah, exactly. I like the.
Yeah, no, the way that she justifies it and the way that she explains it, and she ties it back to her own self growth, where she's like, I told myself if I ever saw a red flag again, I would do something about it. And she fucking kills him on the spot.
I mean,
she
maybe
fucking
don't kill the
shoots him.
president of a country, but whatever.
I gotta say, it was pretty reckless of him. Like, I honestly thought as soon as like I want to marry you, I'm like, what kind of fucking shit is this guy on, right? Like I didn't really buy that. Like, if I look, it was kind of.
Well, he was saying that his citizens, or that his subjects, his citizens, yeah, the citizens of his country saw Harley as like this rebellious revolutionary figure, and he thought that he would get kind of a pass, kind of some justification or approval from marrying Harley. It would make him look better in their eyes by, marrying Harley. It would kind of help him,
And Harley is an impulsive character, so to me it made sense that she would just go along with that. Like, sure, yeah, okay, up to a point. And then I loved that she didn't go along with it. I thought that she was just totally going to marry the guy and whatever. Maybe we would see them deal with the consequence of that in the next movie.
She was going to go along with it until he said what he said.
Yeah, but I like that she didn't.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool because, I thought she was going to just do it.
Yeah, but if he didn't say what he said, they would probably have ended up together.
Probably until she saw a red flag and then murdered him in his sleep.
Well, depending on the red flag, that's what I'm saying. If there was no red flags, she probably never would have killed him.
So I was just gonna say, like, what counts as a red flag for her, right? Like, if he snores in his sleep, is she just gonna like stab him with the pen?
No, I don't think it's that. I think Harley's threshold for, asshole shitty behavior or, is probably ranging more towards the psychotic or the sociopathic. That's my guess.
Yeah, he said something about killing children, and apparently that's
Yeah.
what did it for her, right?
Yeah, he was talking about killing his enemies, right? Women and children. He was saying that, he would take out his enemies, women, children, men, whatever. And she was just not fucking having that. She was just not having that. So, do you guys feel like King Shark was a placeholder for Groot in a way?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like King Shark in the cartoon better. Like, he's actually an intelligent, witty character in the Harley Quinn cartoon. So I was kind of hoping to see something more like that. I was really excited about King Shark. And then when I saw what I got, I was like, oh, okay, whatever, that's all right. But the cartoon version's like way better.
Yeah. I feel like too, it reminds me of like, like Seth MacFarlane kind of like anime shows, like Family Guy and the Cleveland Show and American Dad. There's always that like non-human character. And I feel like James Gunn also has like the habit of like having at least one non-human character for like comedy relief, I guess. Like I Am Groot and King Shark.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of racist? They take the person who's like non-humanoid and make them comic relief. Or
I think that I wouldn't be racist. It'll be xenophobic.
well, yeah, because it would be racist because they're actually a whole different race. When we say racist towards other humans, it kind of doesn't make sense because we're not actually another race, but aliens would be a whole other race. Or is there another term to describe that racism towards another being?
I think it's xenophobia.
No, it's definitely not xenophobic. Come on, what the hell?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, I think that's a word.
No,
Well, anyway, you know what I mean. You get the gist of it.
I guess, yeah. Were you guys disappointed that Mongal didn't survive? Like, she's an alien. And if you know her backstory, if you know her father, Mongol is a super being. He's fought fucking Superman and Batman and the Green Lantern and like stood toe to toe with him. I really didn't think a helicopter crash was going to kill this character. It didn't really make any sense to me. But like, you see her charred body on the beach at the end of that sequence where they're scanning over all the Suicide Squad members that are dead. It didn't make much sense to me. Like, how the fuck did this character from a fire, from a crashed helicopter? She's like an alien with like superhuman abilities. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed that character died, but sorry, go ahead, Taco.
No, I was just gonna say like the story thread of her being related to Mongo is kind of significant if you ask me, because Mongo is tied to one of my favorite Superman stories, which is the Black Mercy, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's like a missed like I hope it leads to something more. Maybe Mongo comes and gets pissed off that his daughter's dead or something like that. So
yeah, I don't know about that. I don't see that fucking happening, but
it's a missed opportunity if you ask me. That's what I'm saying. Like, you have this thread to lead to this greater villain for even like the Justice League. Yeah. She's dead in a helicopter crash.
So what was everybody's favorite stunt sequence?
I think Harley.
Yeah.
Harley fighting the whole breaking out.
Yeah,
it was
that
kind of
was awesome.
like the police station sequel, for the sequence in the police station and the Birds of Prey.
Yeah,
like a sequel to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to a degree. Christina, what about you?
I kind of liked when we first saw Polka Dot Man's power, and you're just like, whoa, what?
Oh, when he took down that tower?
Yeah, like I think the first time you see him using all the discs to actually fight, and it's really cool.
Yeah, he just opens up his arms and polka dots come out. Yeah, that was kind
Yeah.
of wacky as fuck for sure. Did you guys know that Margot Robbie actually did that key unlocking scene with her foot?
Yes.
She
So
actually
hot.
did that. That's crazy.
So hot.
And she does so much of her own stunt sequences. It's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't realize she did that. That was really crazy. But yeah, with such a close-up view of a foot, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the feet people got probably excited for that one.
Yeah.
And that looks pretty hard to do. Like, that's impressive that she did on her own, or even if a stunt person does. Like, I don't think I could ever unlock a lock holding the key with my toes.
Right.
Like, it's impressive.
No, for sure. How did you guys feel about the characterization of Rick Flag in comparison to the first Suicide Squad where we met Rick Flag? What did you guys think of how they changed him?
I feel it's believable because I feel like after a while, if you go on enough suicide missions, you're probably going to loosen up a bit.
Okay. Kristina, what about you?
I honestly don't remember much from the first movie. I only saw it once in 2016. And yeah, I don't know. Don't remember.
He was super stoic. Super stoic. But
Yeah, but he was also, I think they also made him out to be like the responsible person in the first one. As to like this one, I think Idris Elba is like the more responsible person.
Yeah.
But they didn't really show off that he's the actual like government. He's representing Amanda Waller. You don't really see that enforcing Amanda Waller's like will, right?
Yeah.
In fact, you even see him, deter, like even go against her plans.
Yeah, that's true. What did you guys think about all the socio-political subtext in this movie? There was a lot of it. Like if you really watched it, you had a corrupt government, you had, revolutionaries in the jungle. You obviously had the American government playing a role in this cover-up as far as the Starro program goes, or Project Starfish. They wanted to cover it up. They didn't want to stop it. They didn't want to prevent it. They just wanted to cover it up and make sure that it didn't create an international incident where they could be blamed for it, right? What do you guys think about all the socio-political stuff?
So I like that a lot. I like politics, and I enjoyed kind of seeing some of that unravel. I like that there were revolutionaries. I like that the revolutionaries weren't necessarily the bad guys, but were actually kind of the good guys. And both governments, the American government and I forget what country we're in, but the government from this country were both kind of like corrupt and a little bit evil in their own ways. But also nobody was like totally bad. Like everybody was still kind of good, kind of bad, just looking out for their own self-interest kind of thing.
Right. And it does reflect real life. Like the American government has done similar things in a lot of South American countries, whether it's destabilizing their economy or, putting in their own puppet governments. They've done it quite a bit. It's not something that is inaccurate. It's actually something that's quite accurate.
And we're kind of seeing a lot of that play out right now, too, with Afghanistan. So it is very real, right?
Right. Well, they just left Afghanistan. And they did have a government in there.
Yeah, but they had a whole hand in like putting that original government in place. And, there's reasons why that government wasn't stable and wasn't able to stand its ground against the Taliban and stuff like that. So what is like deep, right? It goes deep. But yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. I didn't really expect to see that in a Suicide Squad film. I kind of expected to see, obviously, a mission and some high stakes and a lot of bodies, but I really didn't expect to see so much commentary as far as things or ideas or notions that would reflect into the real world for the audience. I really wasn't expecting that. That's for sure. Taco, what were your thoughts on that? Did you enjoy that aspect of it, or are you kind of like, entertain me and shut the fuck up kind of deal?
I mean, I can agree with you. I wasn't expecting it. It kind of caught me off guard with the whole like America's bad, but
Right.
it's believable because why else would America send a Black Ops mission to somewhere? Like usually Black Ops missions are like infamous for being like ridiculously like evil, or like they're always a cover up, and this is not something that's unheard of. There's numerous cover ups where it's just like, wow, you guys actually did all this. Like the CIA does all like this dirty shit all the time, and you know what I mean? And it's always like when we do like spy movies and we like do all these like superhero movies where it involves the American military, it's always kind of like portrayed in like, not like, it's always portrayed not like this. This was different, right? This was more real.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we do see it sometimes in Marvel. Sometimes in Marvel comics, they'll do something where the government does something kind of shady, or like Nick Fury's a little bit shady. But yeah, this was like in your face, like, okay. And it wasn't necessarily like America's bad. It was kind of just America was being selfish and they didn't really care about the consequences of their actions in like this country. So like in this particular situation, maybe they're the bad guys, but not like overall kind of thing.
Yeah.
It also just shows like America doesn't really care about what happens to other countries as long as their benefits are met.
Right.
And like, it kind of makes sense, right? Because it would cost them money and like their own resources to do that. So like in a way, they would have a limit to what they can do in another country as well, right? Yeah. So
true. And
we do see that play out in real life too. So
well, there's because I think what it was in Suicide Squad, they wanted the Nazis to research this stuff and stuff like that, right? And we've seen that the real life with Operation Paperclip, where the CIA recruited all the Nazi scientists to help them make their NASA, stuff like that, right?
Yep. Werner von Braun was basically the chief head of NASA in the beginning. And he was a fucking horrible human being. He used to take concentration camp workers, the ones that were slow, and he used to hang them outside the factory to remind his employees that, or to remind the slaves that if they didn't work fast enough, this was the consequence of it. We're talking about Werner von Braun. And this guy was on Disney, by the way. Like, I want to make that abundantly clear. There used to be an actual show on Disney that talked about space exploration and the universe and astronomy and all these things. And Werner von Braun was one of the fucking hosts of this show. Like, he was on television. And this guy was a hardcore Nazi. And there's a lot of people who try to downplay how much of a Nazi he was, but that's fucking nonsense. It's total nonsense. He was a total goddamn Nazi. And the Nazis played a significant role in the start of the space program in the United States. A significant, and probably one of the most important roles in the technological advancement of the Western world, which is fucking terrifying. But
they also used experiments that were conducted by other scientists around the world and kind of used it for their own benefit, right?
Yeah.
Like it was experiments that weren't necessarily meant for evil purposes, but they took it and used it to kill people, right?
Well, in this movie, the way the thinker was saying, like, the reason that the U.S. government had to do this in the Court of Maltese is because the American people get very squeamish about having to do certain things to advance science. That was the Nazis' attitude, too. They were willing to do whatever they had to do to advance science. They were willing to take lives. They were willing to torture people. They were willing to hurt people. They were willing to mutilate people in an effort to try and advance science. Basically, certain human beings became guinea pigs to the Nazis at this point. But listen, let's...
there was no ethics standards and stuff in place at that time. All those ethics standards and stuff, they came out after. So
yeah. So were you guys surprised at the role that Taika Waititi had in this movie?
Yeah, actually, I just saw Free Guy over the weekend, and Taika Waititi was in that movie too, and I'm just like, dude, Taika Waititi's in everything nowadays. I think it's just because he's so lovable, and he's just so creative, and I think James Gunn is just as... Like I said, Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor Ragnarok, in my opinion, are probably the best comedies the MCU has to offer, and I guess it's one of those nods of like respect. I'll have you in my movie as a small cameo. Like, I don't even think he has a word. He has a line. 1 or 2 lines in there, right?
Yeah. But talking about Waititi in a sense of, did you expect him to be like a flashback character, or did you expect him to have a more major role in the movie when you found out he was cast in it?
I didn't think it didn't really give like a big headline that he was in the movie, so I felt like it was going to be a small role. To be honest, I kind of forgot he was going to be in the movie, so when I saw him, I was like, hey, look, it's Taika Waititi, right?
Kristina, what about you?
Yeah, I think I forgot to. I didn't remember hearing that he was in it or reading about him. So I don't even remember where he was in the movie, actually.
You don't
Which
remember where he
character
was?
He
was the dad.
He was the father. He was Ratcatcher. He was the original Ratcatcher.
Okay,
the druggie. He had like a needle in his arm and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was a touching moment. There was that very organic exchange between Ratcatcher 2 and Bloodsport. And Bloodsport accused her of having daddy issues, and that really kind of brought up a lot of pain for her. And you get that flashback in her life, and I really like how they did that, how they put that scene together with the reflection off the window of the bus and all that. I thought that was really beautiful. And the cinematography and the coloring of that scene was actually really cool too. Okay, so as far as weapons and gadgetry, who was your favorite out of all these characters?
Bloodsport.
Okay, mine too. That way that he was just kind of like pulling things off of his armor, and it would turn into like pieces of a gun, or it would turn into a gun or a weapon or whatever. And then that fucking slingshot thing he had in his wrist whatever that spring-loaded thing he had in his wrist, that was dope. I thought that was really fucking cool. Kristina, what about you?
Bloodsport as well.
Bloodsport? I thought you would have said Polka Dot Man because of.
I don't consider that gadgetry though. That was like his biology.
Yeah, but he had to have
virus.
those. Yeah, but he had to have those louvres on his arms to open up to let the polka dots go.
Oh right, yeah, okay, that was
right.
Kind of cool. But yeah, no, I still think Bloodsports was more impressive.
Yeah,
I gotta say, Polka Dot Man was definitely unique when his like face swelled up with all these like tumors or like lumps on his like face. I thought that was kind of like that threw me off. I was like, oh, what the fuck's wrong with this dude, right?
We still never got clarification on whether or not he was contagious. They were like, so is it contagious? And he like doesn't answer. He like ignores the question.
That'd be cool if one of them end up being like Polka Dot Man 2 or something like that.
Maybe it's like blood. You have to transmit it by blood or something. Because he said his mom like infected them. So I don't know how she managed to do that.
What do you guys think about the continuity of the Peacemaker character? I feel like they gave him a lot of jokes at the beginning and they made him very likable at the beginning because he was going to portray the team at the end, right? Because honestly, I didn't come out of that movie hating Peacekeeper. I didn't hate him. It was almost in a way, if you shared the same ideology that he did, you could justify his actions, right?
Yeah, I could say too, like even when he went to go kill Rick Flag, and he just explains like, hey, look, you're a hero. I don't want to have to do this.
Yeah, he did it in a way that like this is my job. This is what I have to do. And within my belief system, I want to protect the United States and I want to protect peace. I want to make sure that I maintain peace at any cost. So if I have to take your life, Rick Flag, I'm going to take your life.
Yeah,
right?
I respected that. I thought that was like, it made me like, you know, I like this guy. And like I said, John Cena just killed the performance.
Yeah, he did kill the performance for sure. For sure. Kristina, what about you?
I liked how controversial that character was. And yeah, so same thing. I like the build up to the end. You know, I only liked him because of all the stuff that happened at the end. And like I said, I'm excited to see how that plays out because obviously he survived and now he like knows all these things. And I'm just curious to see if he's going to like use that for leverage against the government or, you know, what's he going to do with that information? Probably not. I guess he wants to like protect that information and he's like pro-government at all costs. Yeah, I think it will make for a good show.
I felt like it was a little foreshadowing too that he was probably gonna be the one to betray them because you can't watch a Suicide Squad and not expect a betrayal. You gotta see a betrayal coming, and I think it was a little foreshadowing when he just went on the beach like he.
Oh, Blackguard.
Like, no, I mean Peacemaker. Like I feel it was a little foreshadowing that he was gonna be the one to betray everyone because he was saying like how he'll do anything for the government. How he'll suck a beach full of dicks and he'll kill every like mad woman and child to maintain peace. Like to me, as soon as I heard that, I was like, okay, this guy's probably gonna end up being a problem after because he's obviously a psycho, right?
Right. You know, the other thing I noticed about this movie is that the stakes were a lot higher. And I only say that because in the first Suicide Squad, they were basically killing zombies. All the people that they killed were zombies. They were controlled by the Enchantress and the evil forces that they were trying to stop in David Ayer's movie. But in this one, it was actually human beings. The lives that they were taking were literally just soldiers and actual people. They weren't zombies. They weren't of any supernatural nature. It was like literally human beings. And I thought that was an interesting thing because honestly, I felt like the first Suicide Squad movie kind of was a little soft because of that. Like I never get excited about watching people kill zombies, especially in a movie like that. As far as a comic book adaptation, I really don't want to see people killing zombies, especially not the Suicide Squad. Like, you know, Suicide Squad, if you're going to bring in a group of criminals to carry out a mission, they should be just killing indiscriminately, right?
Mm-hmm. What about robots?
What do you mean?
You have a problem with them killing robots?
Yeah, that'd be weird too, for sure. Kristina, what are your thoughts on that?
On who dies?
No,
I don't know. I don't care whether it's robots or zombies or people. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but aren't the stakes higher when it's actually human beings?
Yeah, but it's also more cruel.
Yeah, which lends itself better to the idea of the Suicide Squad. They're criminals. They should be killing indiscriminately. Right?
Yeah.
Shouldn't they?
Yeah.
Well, shouldn't that be the whole theme of the fucking movie, that they're killing indiscriminately?
Yeah, if you have Hardy on the team, you gotta expect her to like break out of a prison, killing everyone kind of style.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, Harley was really cruel in Birds of Prey too. She was just killing everyone left, right, and center, breaking people's legs.
I love her in Birds of Prey. Like that scene in the police station where she's like in the shootout, and then they start shooting the coke, and she gets a whiff of it and goes like, crazy.
yeah.
Like, yeah, that was like I say, like even this one too with the hallucinations and the illustrations. Like, this is how Harley Quinn sees what she's doing right now. That's like a work of art for her. I thought that was awesome.
So, out of all the Suicide Squad members, who is the most moral? Who is the most ethical?
Ratcatcher 2.
Over Polka Dot Man?
I mean, did you see Ratcatcher 2 kill anyone?
I think Polka Dot Man killed his mother. So yeah, I'm gonna see Ratcatcher too.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I felt like she was like the heart of the group for sure. She was the emotional center of the story. That's definitely for sure. And she was almost like an avatar of, well, for Bloodsport, she was kind of like a daughter figure for him, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about the death that shocked us the most, but we didn't talk about the death that made us the saddest. So who were you guys, which loss broke your heart? Like, who did you not want to lose on this movie?
Polka Dot Man.
Yeah? Kristina?
Same thing. Yeah, I really liked him. I would have liked to see him live in future movies. So it's too bad that they killed him.
I think just the way they killed him off too, like they gave him his moments. Like, I'm a superhero. Then
Yeah, and then boom. Yeah.
boom.
Killed by the kaiju. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to say Rick Flag and Polka Dot Man. I really like Rick Flag. I really like Joel Kinnaman, to be honest with you. Joel Kinnaman is like definitely one of my favorite actors. Ever since I saw him in The Killing, I've always followed his work. I really, really like him as an actor. And he was in House of Cards. He's been in so many amazing things. Altered Carbon, like just so much amazing shit that he's done.
Do you think it was overkill when they showed the animation of his heart getting pierced?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
James Gunn rubbing it in your face. Like, no, he's dead.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. The way that they killed Rick Flag, though, not necessarily that Peacekeeper stabbed him, not the fight, not what they died over. Like, he finally lifted the veil of, you know, his blind patriotism, and he was fed up and pissed off, and he wanted to expose the American government for their crimes and what they did, and the cover-up of, you know, Project Starfish and everything that they were doing, and all the experiments that they did on the women and children that were in that lab or whatever. So he's pretty pissed off, and they have, obviously, Peacekeeper has been charged with keeping all this information under wraps and keeping the cover up intact. But the way that they zoomed in and they kind of do that cross section where, you know, they show that actual piece of tile penetrating his heart, you know, a special effect that they did. How did you guys feel about that?
I think it was just James Gunn just rubbing it in your face. Like, no, he's dead. He's not coming back from this one, right? Just yeah.
Kristina, what do you think?
I liked it. It felt like a Mortal Kombat fatality or something. That was like really fun. It was like over the top, ridiculous, and like there were like it kind of fit other parts of the movie too, because there was the moments with Harley Quinn and the flowers that was really weird and out there, and then the heart thing was really weird and out there, and Polka Dot Man's glowing bubbles. I don't know, so it kind of like didn't feel like it stood out too much. It like fit other things that they did in the movie, so I thought it was fine.
Go ahead, Taco.
I was gonna say, you bring up Mortal Kombat. It reminds me of the scene where King Shark ripped that dude in half.
Oh yeah,
that whole like
that was
that was a cool shot with the lightning.
Yeah,
but my mind literally went brutality. Like I literally said it out loud. Like
yeah, no, it was pretty insane, dude. The cinematography on this movie was great. Yeah, I'm glad you bring up that scene, Taco, because honestly, this movie was visually stunning. There were so many scenes and so many sequences and so many shots that were just mind-blowing to look at and just beautiful to look at. Like the one with Harley in the hall with her hallucinating with all the flowers and shit. That was fucking amazing. Incredible. There's also the one that you just talked about with King Shark ripping that guy apart in the rain. Even the one where they're just walking in the rain is a beautifully stunning scene. There's so many amazing shots in this movie that's just unbelievable. So I want to give a shout out to the director of photography on this movie, Henry Braham. Henry Braham, amazing work, dude. Like this movie just looked incredible. Even some of the shots that were just like on the streets of Corto Maltese are just stunning. Like just visually stunning shots. Just incredible, incredible work. And then that one with Harley inside Starro, that was just hauntingly beautiful. Like incredible. The colors and the texture and the, you know, the effect of her being, whether that was water or some sort of solution or like just being inside Starro's eye or whatever it was, that was amazing, dude. Like just amazing. And speaking of Harley being inside Starro's eye, let's talk about this final this final scene, this final climax in the movie. What did you guys think about this final sequence, and what did you guys think about Ratcatcher 2 being the hero of the story, more or less?
Yeah, no, I honestly like when she went up there with the little device. I thought she was gonna like mind control the Starro. I thought that was gonna be pretty cool.
Okay.
But instead, she just like controlled all the rats to just like the Starro alive. And I feel like other than being the moral center of the story, like James Gunn also just probably put her there to be like to want to kill Starro. Because I didn't feel like they were gonna do it with what they were doing. Like it didn't look like a viable, like King Shark doing what he was doing and Harley on the roof and stuff like that. And the only one that was actually making it down with Starro was Polka Dot Man, and then he died, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I would have liked it better if it was like more of a team takedown, if everyone's powers were like equally strong against Starro, but or like they had to come up with a strategy and like I don't know, it would have been cool to see them work more together, but yeah, I guess like Harley and Ratcatcher 2 kind of teamed up to take Starro down, so that worked for me.
Well, you know what's funny is Ratcatcher 2 is not really the hero of that story, if you think about it.
Who, Harley is? Or Javelin?
No, none of them are. None of the Suicide Squad are the heroes of that movie, if you think about it.
Who's the hero of the movie?
Think about it.
The rats?
Nope.
Polka Dot Man?
Nope.
Kristina, you guess.
I don't know. I don't know where Frank's going with this.
Come on. Think about it.
USA?
Nope.
Bad plumbing, so the reason why that's why there's so much rats. No, I don't know, dude. I'm running out of guesses here.
There was a singular moment in that movie that would have fucking changed everything if it had happened. Starro would have continued to live, and Starro would have basically destroyed the world and enslaved everybody if this one person didn't take this one action.
Thinker?
No.
Or trapping Starro inside the Jolenheim or whatever.
Hold on, I'm trying to find your name. Give me a second here.
Oh, the chick that hit that hit Waller over the head.
Yep.
Yeah, I got.
Oh,
like
right.
It needed to happen. It's like someone needed to stop her from blowing everyone's head off. But I also felt like, why add the scene that's just gonna blow everyone's head off if like someone like I don't know. I thought it was kind of cheap that someone just had to
I felt like
knock
if
her
the
off
analysts were gonna be the ones to stop her, I would have wanted to see more character growth, or like I wanted to be more attached to those characters rather than okay, it's like when you're watching a wrestling match and then there's a bad guy and a good guy, and then the bad guy's like girlfriend trips someone or something, and the guy wins. That's kind of like how it felt to me. like someone outside the ring did something to like change the outcome of the match or whatever.
Well, but you have to admit that if she didn't take that action, Amanda Waller would have blown all their heads off.
No, I agree. I just found it annoying that it was like a character we didn't like get any intro to or any development or like care about, right?
Yeah. Like, if anything, the one that got the most development or the most like screen time was the big dude that did the mocap for King Shark.
Yeah, like actually it would have made more sense if he was the one who did it. Like, but then I guess that would create issues too.
He's like a big dude. He's just I can't picture him just whacking Viola Davis over the head with a golf club. That would just probably look wrong.
Yeah, it would look bad. So that's why it had to be a girl. They had to pick like the mousy girl.
And I think maybe they had to pick the African-American woman too to hit another African-American woman.
Yeah, like someone like on staff, like to make sure, like, all right, guys, it has to be like this. Like,
but then her character should have been the one to be more developed. Like she should have played the role of the other. I don't know. I just felt like it was weird that it was the analyst that we didn't get any character development on.
Well, the funny thing is the character's name is Florence Crowley, and apparently she is a cousin of Amanda Waller in the DC universe.
Huh.
Oh. Okay.
And she was portrayed by Tanashi Kajisi. Yeah.
So I guess she probably knew she could get away with it because she's probably related. But they didn't explain that in the movie, though. You know what I mean?
No,
like, that's
they didn't.
It would have been made more sense then, right? Well, like I said, I understood that it needed to happen to get the plot, like to keep the story going. But it was just one of those things, like rather, I guess I don't know. Like I wish it was just more developed.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, no, it could have been more developed for sure. But at the same time, it is a unique moment because it's good that somebody finally kind of stood up to Amanda Waller, right?
Yeah, she was kind of going nuts.
She is nuts. She
was like sulking at her desk, and that was pretty funny after the fact.
Oh, that was hilarious. She's like with like a little ice pack. gives them a look like you're all gonna like hate your new jobs.
But also makes no sense because she's willing to like blow people up, but she won't fire someone who hit her with a golf club. Like that makes no sense.
Well, I think one of the reasons is because she is first cousins with this
apparently
woman.
That's one of the reasons.
We've seen her being like evil with like prisoners and criminals, right? So these guys are probably like protected by like work laws and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they have a union. Maybe they're government employees. They might have a union.
Well, then again, like I feel like hitting your boss with a golf club is enough cause for termination.
Yeah, I guess that and betting on the outcome of who wins it, who lives and who dies. I bet those two things in combination could get you in trouble.
What do you guys think about Bloodsport's call to leadership at the end there, where like he literally just took over and started barking orders at everybody, and he's definitely a hero at the end of this film too, because he brings everybody out of their shell and makes them find the inner strength to carry this fight out, right?
I feel like it was also played for laughs because it also kind of like failed on him too, right? Like Polka Dot Man like died right beside him.
Yeah, that's true. That's probably a part of it. I didn't consider that. Yeah, no, and again, this magic javelin ends up piercing Starro's eye, and Ratcatcher is able to call the rats into Starro's eye, and they basically eat him from the inside.
Very creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like that though.
Oh my god.
Yeah. The one thing I liked about Ratcatcher being the one to kind of deal the death blow in this was that she was using somewhat of a hive mind of her own, a hive mind that she has over the rats, to take down another hive mind.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. I thought that was really interesting, the way that kind of, those things kind of contrasted each other a little bit, or kind of parallel each other a little bit.
I actually thought she was going to do something else. Like, I actually thought she was going to be so powerful that she was going to be able to control like the little Starros or like actual Starro or something like that. So I think it would have been cool to like see her power evolve or see her have more strength than she would have thought she had. I think that would have been neat as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely for sure thought like that was gonna happen too, right? Like it'd be pretty awesome, like if you control Starro though, like that'd be pretty insane. Your power level is like to take over planets, right?
Yeah, that would have been cool.
And what do you guys think of the special effects? Like, what do you guys think of the special effects overall in the film? And more importantly, what do you guys think of the special effects for Starro as the kaiju? Did he kind of feel like it was a little hokey? I kind of thought I was watching Bebo in Legends of Tomorrow, to be honest.
I felt like it fit the movie though. I don't know. Like it felt the comedic stylings and stuff like that. I don't think they needed to do some like crazy CGI.
I mean, yeah, I'm not a big fan of CGI, but I guess there's no other way to like probably do this whole kaiju without making it CGI.
They could have done it practical. They could have put a guy in his suit and had him stomp around like on a miniature, just like
no, that
they've
would have
done.
been
And
weird.
no way.
Well, depending
why?
how they do it. Maybe the mini stars, if those were practical, it would have looked more like realistic. But that was like CGI.
Maybe some of them were, because remember the set photos that got released? I swear I thought I saw a couple of those Starro creatures in some of the set photos that were released, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Maybe they were placeholders because they look pretty CGI to me.
Maybe.
It was pretty obvious that they were like the face huggers from Aliens, right? Like it was like a callback to that, right?
Yeah, no, definitely a callback to the face huggers for sure. It's something that's very iconic in sci-fi films or anything with aliens, and that's obviously something that they really wanted to do.
I thought it was pretty cool how when it ended up on your face, like the giant eyeballs like in front of like.
Yeah, they just did that on Rick and Morty too, like last season, right?
There
was that the egg.
Mm-hmm. That was hilarious.
They wanted to look at wet eggs. So weird. So weird. You can't tell me I can't look at wet eggs. By the way, the other thing that I kind of find questionable is that these rats didn't drown inside the eye fluid of Starro, and Harley didn't drown in the eye fluid of Starro, and she's literally like you can almost see her breathing inside the eye fluid of Starro. That was kind of hard to swallow. What about for you guys? Was that something that you were kind of questioning after you saw it?
First thing that came to my mind was like, oh, how do these rats learn to swim?
I felt like she broke the eye pretty quickly, so I felt like the water was coming out.
She was swimming in it, Kristina.
If she can unlock something with her toes, I think she can hold her breath for 5 minutes. Like
she was swimming in the eye fluid, and even when the Starro was stumbling around, it was like blood and water, or blood and eye solution, or eye fluid, or whatever inside Starro. So
yeah,
I don't know about that, dude. I really don't.
I didn't feel like it was that long, and I'm sure some of the rats did die. Nobody said some of the rats didn't die.
Yeah.
No rats were harmed in the making of this film, guys.
Yeah.
For me, it just the first thing that came to my mind was they're all gonna drown. Like, oh my god, they poor rats. Like, no one cares. They drown. I guess if they kill the kaiju, it doesn't matter.
Well, they definitely would drown. That's the problem. They would drown, I think. That's the issue.
Yeah, but more would come to finish what they started. So
Hydra.
there was just so many of them that it didn't matter if some of them drowned.
Yeah. What did you guys think about the revolutionaries killing all those people in the office? Like, no jail, no prison, no nothing. They just basically open fired like they were a fucking firing squad.
I think it's pretty common for revolutionaries to do that. So, yeah. I mean, it's war, right?
I guess.
And those guys killed their whole family. So it makes sense that they would do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't agree with it. I'm not saying I'm like on board with that, but I'm just saying it seems realistic.
I don't think killing everyone would be like ideal because you're probably gonna need some people to like run the country.
They
you know
killed
what I mean?
like the lady who was the receptionist or whatever. Like, what did she do?
Oh, sorry. When the receptionist first came to screen, did anyone else think, "Holy shit, boobies"?
Yes.
Because
I'm pretty sure that was the whole point. That was the
She
whole
was
point.
hot
They just
as
got
hell.
this like they're like the leaders of the country. They just hired someone who was like pretty to look at to be the receptionist, right? So
But it
they
was
could,
just
like,
the way
hit on her.
she walks in. And
Yeah,
all you
into
see are
frame.
these things
Yeah.
rocking up and down,
Yep.
up and down, left to right. I was like, holy
Yep.
shit.
I
Yep.
think that was the point because all the guys working there were these like creepy old dudes.
Maybe it was just to me. It threw me off. I was like, holy shit, boobs.
Yeah, she was
Like-
hot as balls too, man.
Yeah.
Hot as balls. No, for sure.
Balls are not hot, but okay.
Hot as balls. Hot as balls. Not like balls, like guys' balls. Just hot as balls. It's a saying. Not supposed to like take it literally. Hot as balls. Like, come on, man. What the fuck? So, Taco, out of 10, man, what are you giving the Suicide Squad?
Solid 8.
Okay, Kristina.
I give it a 9. I really enjoy James Gunn movies.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a solid 8 too. It was fun. It was adventurous. It was unique. It was creative. It was wacky. It was definitely wacky. And I love these characters. I really like the characters in this film. I thought it was really well done. And I love James Gunn. I love the music choices he made for this movie too. Opening with Johnny Cash, Folsom Prison Blues. He won my heart there. So really, really love that. I love the whole thing with Polka Dot Man's mom. Like that was really funny. But here I go again, giving another review. Anyways, thanks guys for tuning in to listen to us do our spoiler hot review on the Suicide Squad. We hope you enjoyed it. Before we leave you, we just want to say thank you for all your support and all your love. You guys have been amazing. We apologize that we weren't able to get this review up earlier. I think most of you guys have seen the notice that we posted saying that we had technical difficulties and we had to re-record this episode. So this is a re-record. But we hope you guys enjoyed it. We pretty much maintained the same thoughts and opinions that we did from the first one, so you didn't really miss anything. But before we go, I do want to tell everybody that our 100 Favorite Things episode is up in your podcast feeds right now, so make sure you go and listen to that. We came up with our must-haves, our top 100 must-listen, must-watch, must-play. We each chose 20 things from genre spec fiction that are our absolute favorites and we love deeply. So we hope you guys will check that out. It's a great episode. You guys will find a ton of things that you guys probably haven't watched or seen or played yet. You can put those on your list like True Culture Vultures and just go right through it. So we'll hope you guys will check that out. And also make sure that you check out, if you haven't listened to it yet, Loki, our Loki show. We just finished that before the 100th episode. We've got all 5 episodes of Loki are available right now, so be sure to check that out too. If you haven't entered our Nintendo Switch giveaway, make sure you do that. Head over to solo.to/meanwhilepod. Click on the link at the top of the listing. It'll take you to our registration page. You can register for the contest. From there, you'll be taken to an online challenge page. You complete online challenges, you earn entries into the contest. The more entries you get, the better your chances. So make sure you go and do that. And Also, keep an eye out for our interview with Jason Aaron. That's going to be coming up. Jason Aaron, the guy who wrote Thor, who wrote Wolverine and the X-Men, who wrote Skelt. He's done a number of different amazing comic books and graphic novels. This guy is a fucking rock star, one of my favorite writers of all time. We're going to sit down with him and talk with him, so we don't want you guys to miss that, so be sure to check that out. To be continued. I'm Frank McGuire.
I'm Kristina Dudema.
And I'm Taco Brown.
Peace.